my god. You're kidding. Hey fellow Force users, what is up? It's Ahsoka Tano fan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so time for another episode of The Mandalorian. We know the last one was obviously a really good one. So this episode obviously has pretty big shoes to fill. We saw the return of Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. It was so great seeing those two characters return and work with Mando. At the end of the last episode, we do know that Gideon did get Grogu. So now we kind of can anticipate that that's going to be the final mission, is to get Grogu back. We know that there's supposed to be a mystery Jedi that helps them do this. I've seen a lot of different theories kind of floated around. I've seen Luke, I've seen Cal Kestis, I've seen Mace Windu, I've seen Quinlan Vos, I've seen Ezra. Personally, right now, I'm kind of leaning more towards it being Luke. And the reason is because, one, we know that at this point in time, Luke is looking to train Jedi, because we know that he does this, and then Ben Solo obviously is one of the Jedi he trains and he falls to the dark side. So we're right at the point in the timeline where he would be looking at training Jedi like Grogu. Ultimately, I do believe that he and Ahsoka do have to meet at some point so that he can let her know that her former master Darth Vader did in fact come back to the light side. That's kind of why I'm thinking it's more likely to be Luke. Mace Windu is also a possibility. We do know that Star Wars is no stranger to bringing back characters that were previously thought dead, like Boba, like Fennec Shand, like Darth Maul. As much as I would love to see Mace Windu, I kind of am wondering if bringing him back would kind of make the whole idea of bringing back characters from the dead, so to speak, kind of redundant. So I'm not sure if they're going to go with him or not, but we'll see. Honestly, anything's possible. Ezra is a strong possibility as well, but the reason why I'm thinking it might not be him is because in Rosario Dawson and Dave Filoni's interview, which I did speak about in a previous video, if you want to check that out as well, Dave basically heavily hinted at the fact that that Rebels epilogue actually takes place after The Mandalorian. And so if that is true, we see in that epilogue, Ahsoka is seeking out Sabine. So we're kind of made to believe that at that moment in time, she has not yet found Ezra or Thrawn. Thus why she is seeking out Sabine. So I don't know if it makes sense for Ezra to show up in The Mandalorian, because it might be too soon in the timeline. Those are kind of just my thoughts right now. Either way, I don't believe that we'll see this mystery Jedi this episode, although I could be wrong. I also thought they show Ahsoka at the end of the Jedi, and they showed her right at the beginning. In this particular episode, I do expect we'll see them trying to break out Mayfeld, who is Bill Burr's character from season 1, The Prisoner. And so we'll probably see Boba and Fennec again, because at this point, Mando is with them, and he is without a ship. He needs a slave one to get around, right? So we'll probably see them again in this episode. Okay, so if we look at the synopsis here, some people don't like when I read the synopsis, but I kind of always like to read it because I like to sort of guess what it could be referring to and what kind of characters we might see show up. And it gets me even more amped for the episode. So that's why I like to read the synopsis. So it says, to move against the Empire, the Mandalorian needs the help of an old enemy. Okay, so that sounds basically like Bill Burr's character. So they're probably going to try and break him out, as I was saying, but yeah, there could be some surprises thrown our way as well that we don't anticipate. So yeah. All right, guys, so that's enough talk. Let's get right to the episode and get on with the reaction. Cara is literally right in the thumbnail, so I'm pretty sure she's gonna be in the episode. Poor Razor Crest, man. See, I wonder if we'll see any of the other guys as well, in addition to Mayfeld. Okay, that looks like an Imperial ship. Pretty sure. Oh, is this where Mayfeld is, maybe? He's sentenced to hard labor? Okay, there he is. She's so badass now. Okay. Wouldn't have to tell me twice. The slave one. Whoa! His armor looks so much better now. You can tell I cleaned it up. Just like the Mithril, he basically has no choice here but to go along. The Believer. That's interesting. Why is it called that, I wonder? Everyone knows him, Grogu. This is really reminding me of Avengers. How they're all on like the ship together. I can't believe Ming-Na Wen is 57. She looks so good.
I'll check the alarm too.
Let's just say they might recognize my face.
Great. You're going in alone.
But he won't take off his helmet, will he?
Won't be showing my face.
No. I didn't think so. At some point in the series, though, they should have him take it off again. It would kind of be a really significant moment for his character, I think. It would show a lot of change. Oh, she really just bodies them around. Oh, he's in a different outfit. That's so funny.
You know, it's a shame you're not coming along with us. Can't imagine how much fun you are on one of these.
Even in The Mandalorian, he's still a comedian. Gonna say anything, Mando, or?
We're in.
I really like her. I'm so glad they brought her back. Wow. She needs her own series, too, I feel like. He's really trying to get him to remove that helmet. Are we gonna see that girl again? I forgot her name, sorry. From season 1, The Sanctuary? The one that Mando liked. Maybe not, though. Whoa, they look like they hate them.
Yeah. It's hardly any different than the Empire.
Interesting point.
Some in Mandalore, you believe one thing. If you're born on Alderaan, you believe something else.
Let's get one thing straight.
You're not like
You
me.
and I are not gonna like.
Take off your Mando helmet or you can't show your face. Because there is a difference.
He's making good points. Oh! Are they getting attacked, or? Whoa. Maybe they better turn around. Those are good points he was making, though. Oh. Are they trying to steal it? I'm getting Hondo vibes, guys. Whoa, what are they trying to do there? Oh. That's not good. Oh my god. It's R-rated. Those look like the same pods from the Clone Wars Wookiee hunt, I feel like. That the Trandoshans used. How do these guys think it's a good idea to fight on top of this? You want to blow up or what? These guys almost look like Klingons from Star Trek. Oh, okay. Sorry. So they're not trying to steal it. They're trying to blow it up altogether then. As a type of attack? Oh my god. There's more of them? My gosh, they're determined. Mando has never gotten a break, I tell you. It's always something with him. Oh! Whoa! I never thought I'd be cheering for the Imperials. The Imperials literally rescued them. Plot twist. It's so bizarre to see the Imperials, the bad guys, actually be the ones to save them. What Mayfeld saying was kind of right, you know, with the fact that the Empire and the Republic, they're not so much different.
Never thought you'd be happy to see stormtroopers.
Exactly. They're just all people fighting on what they think is the right side of the war, right? Which may even be true in today's society as well. Wow. It's interesting how they're giving us this perspective. Okay, I'm kind of nervous now. Oh my gosh, he looks so obvious there. He's onto him now. They're talking too long now. Will he put his beliefs aside of not showing his face for Grogu? If yes, that shows how much he cares about Grogu, right? If no, that shows how much he's beholden to his faith. He did it! That's how much he cares for Grogu, guys. He's willing to show his face. He's really changed since season 1. This guy looks like a Nazi, he really does. This must be killing Mando, though. He's showing so many people his face right now. Ooh, that was close. Too close for comfort. I think he's still suspicious of them. Oh my god! You're kidding. Oh my god, what is he doing? Whoa, he just snapped. Oh, he never saw her face. Don't kill me. Whoa. Just killed them all like that, eh? That was really powerful what he said, though. What they really want is order. Wow, for a second there, they're very much humanizing the Imperials. That has got to be the coolest ship. We knew this couldn't just go smoothly. We knew something had to happen. But I didn't expect him to just kill the guys like that. I love that shot, actually. Ahsoka jumped into the slave one similarly, too. Oh, boy. I hope Mayfeld doesn't die, though, because everybody that saw Mando's face just died there. Whoa! That looked pretty cool. That almost reminded me of the scene from The Last Jedi. The way it got silent and then big explosion. They're gonna let him go and say that he died. Aww. But where's he going, though? I feel like he and Mando have a special bond now because he's seen his face. And then Mando's also gotten to hear his story as well, so I feel like the two of them are more connected now. Gideon. They're gonna show them the refinery explosion?
Gideon,
Oh.
you have no idea what you are in possession of.
Using his own words against him. This was in the recap as well. Very clever. Okay, so we know what next episode's gonna be about, guys. Was that the first episode of The Mandalorian where we never saw Grogu at all? I think it was. There was actually a lot to take away from that episode, I feel like. I actually took some notes on my laptop, I'm not gonna lie. First of all, let's talk about Mayfeld and some of the things he said, because he was speaking facts in this episode. He was saying a lot of things that really just kind of resonated with me, and I feel like it probably did with you guys as well. So I really like how he talks about what the true difference is between the Empire and the Republic. He questions it, and he kind of says more or less that we're all just sort of trying to survive. And I think that that is such a true point. We heard Boba say in the last episode that he's a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy, which is also what his father Jango Fett said. And it's so true, because if you look at it, most people in the war, in Star Wars, are just regular ordinary people. Well, not that Boba's ordinary, but most of them are regular ordinary people that are just trying to survive. And so they either do it on their own, like someone such as Boba, or maybe some other bounty hunters that are kind of just more independent. Ahsoka is kind of also a little bit on her own now as well. Or they join some type of order like the Empire or the New Republic. I think that we really got to see that in this episode, the way that they kind of humanized many of the Imperials. We saw those people kind of salute them, and they actually saved them. We're almost made to see them as the heroes for a minute there, and that doesn't happen too often, I find, in Star Wars, so it's nice when it does. It did happen with Agent Kallus and Rebels. We got to see a different side of him. It happened in the Clone Wars in the episode Heroes on Both Sides, where for the first time you're actually seeing separatists that aren't the separatists that you kind of typically think of. They're just regular people with families. That was kind of an important part of the episode, I find. The fact that we kind of got to see the human side of these Imperials and think of them as people, not just as mindless, can't shoot for shit stormtroopers. They're more than that. Just like the Republic, these people also believe that they're fighting on the right side of the war. And the Superior said something that was really powerful to me, and he said what people think they want is freedom, but what they really want is order. Maybe that is a big fundamental difference between the Empire and the Republic. The Empire does kind of seem to be more about order, like they're very strict with it. You see what Gideon told those Imperials to do, basically just to commit suicide and long live the Empire, and that's what they had to do. They have a very strict way of following things, and so they're kind of much more about order, so much so to the point where they're willing to kill their own people sometimes. Whereas with the Republic, you could argue, are kind of more about freedom, because they don't kill their own people like the Empire does. And they tend to allow you to choose a little bit more, I find. Even Cara Dune, she didn't have to take that new role as being Marshal of the New Republic. She was offered, whereas the Empire kind of tends to be a little bit more forceful in that sense. But it's ironic because you really essentially can't have one without the other. You can't have freedom without order, and you can't have order without freedom. In order for there to be freedom, you have to have some sort of order to keep people in line, so that you don't have people just kind of doing whatever they want, and harming people and killing people. And that's how our society is as well, right? But at the same time, you have to give people a certain amount of freedom. Otherwise, you won't be able to maintain that order, and then you'll have coups and revolution. It kind of is almost implying that the Empire and the Republic have certain qualities about them that are both important in a certain sense, and that just kind of almost mind-blowing, and it makes you look at them in different lights. It really does. So that was a really powerful moment, I found. The one thing I'll add is that the only people that aren't kind of just people that are trying to survive themselves and find their way through the galaxy are really people like Gideon, who essentially have a certain lust for power and a certain greed, and so they're more interested in pursuing that even at the expense of people. They're doing more than just trying to survive. Then you can also argue that you have people doing the same thing in pursuit of good, and that would kind of be someone like Ahsoka. So you have extreme ends, people that want to seek out power so that they can use it for good, and people that want to seek out power so that they can use it for bad and to benefit themselves at the expense of other people. And then you have the people in the middle, who are the Imperials, as well as those that work for the New Republic, that are kind of just in the middle trying to survive. The way they've been able to do that is by attaching themselves to one of the two orders. And speaking of order, you can argue that Mando is almost similar to the Empire in that sense, because he also has a very strict code, a strict order that he abides by, just like those that are a part of the Empire. So even though he thinks that he's in every way possible different from these people, he may actually share some similar qualities in that sense. It's just like, again, in the Clone Wars, heroes on both sides. Ahsoka thought, I'm so different from the Separatists, there's no way that we have anything in common. But then when Padme took her to visit Mina Bonteri and her son Lux Bonteri, her perspective changed, because she realized they were just like anybody that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be called separatists, but they were in fact separatists. So that kind of opened up her eyes to the fact that the war is not so black and white. There's really a lot of gray in between, and that was shown so well in this episode. Like literally even the color scheme was gray, I found, like of the transport, their uniforms, because there's literally so much gray. A big topic in this episode was Mando's helmet. I really liked how Mayfeld was challenging him on why he wears the Mando helmet and doesn't show his face in the first place. We're finding Mando yet again having his perspective challenged, first by Bo-Katan, then by Boba Fett, now by Mayfeld, who's not Mandalorian, but he still made really good points. He said, which is it? Is it that you have to wear a Mando helmet at all times, or you can't show your face? Because there is a difference. One implies almost that you have to show that you are proudly Mandalorian, and that's the first thing that people have to notice about you, whereas the other implies that, well, you can't ever let people know who you really are, kind of, and one is more powerful than the other. It really makes you wonder, why has Mando never questioned this? Is he arguably like the people that that fight for the New Republic, that fight in the Empire, that kind of just do as they're told follow their order and they don't ever really question it. And so again, we're just seeing that he actually is a lot more similar to those that are a part of the Empire than he realizes. We see him remove his helmet in this case for the sake of rescuing Grogu. And that is huge for him because it shows just how much he really cares about Grogu, right? One of the things Mayfeld mentioned was we all cross lines when things get desperate. And essentially that's what Mando did, because he has been taught growing up never to remove your helmet, never to show your face to any living thing, and yet he does that for the sake of rescuing Grogu. So that just shows how much he cares about Grogu, and I think it also shows perhaps that he's evolving as a character and that he's beginning to question these things because, as I said, he's had his perspective challenged multiple times now, right? So we may see him do this more often as the series progresses, and he may end up being a completely different person by the end than he was in the beginning, because he's already very different from how he was in season 1, in my opinion. Mayfeld is now the only person alive who has seen Mando's face. I really love that, honestly, because it allows them to be more closely bonded, in my opinion. We also saw Mayfeld talk about how he served the people that he fought side by side, how he's lost them all kind of because of the Empire and because of the war, when he had that conversation with the Superior, and Mando was there for that. And so in a sense, I feel like they're kind of both being vulnerable with each other. So it's really just kind of, I think, forever almost connected them. I was concerned at one point that he might actually die, Mayfeld, because everybody else was essentially killed in that base that had seen Mando's face. So now Mayfeld's the only living person to see him like that. Actually, if you think about it, it's almost bad luck to see Mando's face, I feel like, because not only did everybody in that base die, but also the droid from season 1, IG-11, he saw Mando's face, and even though he's not a living person, shortly after he died. So I feel like it's kind of bad luck to see Mando's face. So hopefully Mayfeld's gonna be okay. So one of the things I loved at the end of the episode was how Mando repeated Gideon's line to him about how you have something I want, it means more to me than you can ever imagine, and he will be back with me. And I just think that is not only foreshadowing what's to come, it also implies that Mando is going to basically get his power back somehow. We know he's lost his ship. We know he's lost Grogu, his child. He's been through a lot of loss, but you can argue that he's actually become stronger since suffering those losses. He now has a whole team behind him. He's got his Beskar spear, which is literally resilient like he is. It's one of the only things that survives in the ship wreckage. And now he's on his way to get Gideon. And I think that maybe Gideon didn't perhaps expect him to be so resilient, and that's why he, to me, kind of looked almost surprised to see that transmission call from Mando. It heavily implies that he is coming to reclaim, kind of redeem himself and reclaim his power in a sense. I wouldn't even be surprised if Din might be force sensitive. The first time I actually saw this theory was from Jedi Jive. Shout out to Jedi Jive. Very possible, because when Ahsoka told Grogu and Din about Tython, she did not warn Din that it's dangerous for non-force users. And so that kind of implies that she might know herself that Din is force sensitive, but she might want him to kind of figure that out on his own, because Ahsoka is kind of like that, the older Ahsoka anyway, where she doesn't always necessarily say everything. Rather, she kind of lets you figure out the important stuff on your own. So it's very possible he really is force sensitive, and he has yet to figure that out. People also think that he may be the one to wield the Darksaber in the end. That'd be something that's definitely possible. That'd be tough though, because Bo-Katan's definitely after that Darksaber. It was taken from her. So I don't know if they would necessarily have a conflict with each other over the Darksaber. With or without the Darksaber, Mando is definitely reclaiming his power back here. In my last reaction video, one of the things I thought was that whole scene where he was trying to get Grogu out of the force field so that he can rescue him, but wasn't able to, literally symbolized the fact that he may not be strong enough to keep Grogu safe from the danger. He's kind of building himself up to a point where he might be strong enough to now protect Grogu and get him back from Gideon. So the episode was called The Believer, and so I'm wondering who that was referring to. It could be Mando. He's growing stronger, reclaiming his power, and he does believe that he'll be able to get Grogu back. Or it could be Mayfeld as well. He did mention he's a realist. You can argue that from their conversation, he really believes in the greater good overall and the larger picture beyond just Republic and Empire. So he may be the believer as well. Overall, that was a pretty decent episode. You know, it wasn't like super jaw-dropping or, you know, nothing happened that really was a huge twist or anything like that, except for the fact that we got to see him without his helmet once again. But it definitely provided a lot of insight. I think it developed Mayfeld's character really well. It showed us a different side to him and showed us how much he's changed since season 1, since having been imprisoned. Definitely developed Mando's character more as well and allowed the two of them to, as I said, be more vulnerable with each other and kind of develop a unique bond. I would probably give this episode maybe like a 7 out of 10. Do you guys think that Mayfeld will maybe show up in the Cara Dune rumored spin-off series? That's a possibility, because I feel like we have not necessarily seen the last of him. It doesn't look like he'll be joining our Avengers like team up to go against Gideon here, because he did go off on his own there at the end. I'm glad they let him go, by the way, but who knows, maybe we'll see him pop up in the future. I'm definitely now just looking forward to next week's episode, which is the finale. Shit's about to go down, that's for sure. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Is there anything that you noticed? Are there any predictions you have for next week's episode as to who we could see? As I've mentioned in other videos, Gideon really is that Darth Vader-like figure. So when he's in the episode, you know that there has to be some sort of consequence or some sort of loss. So that does make me a little bit nervous. I do hope that all of our characters can make it out alive. It's possible that we could see one of them sacrifice themselves for the child. It wouldn't be the first time, you know, Quill did that from season 1. I would hope that they don't go through all that trouble of bringing Boba and Fennec back only for one of them to die again. But it's possible, you know, because Gideon's a serious character. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see next Friday, guys. As always, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I will do the same back. Thank you for commenting on my videos. I always love to keep the discussion going and to hear other people's thoughts and theories as well. So thank you so much for doing that. I will respond to as many comments as I can. And until next time, guys, take care and see you in the next video.